Okay, with Kevan Doyle, Caught is the short film, played at the Documentary Film Festival. It's 8 minutes long, filmed in Sri Lanka. You're based in California, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
And so you went to Sri Lanka to film this?
Yeah, I went to Sri Lanka to film this. Spent about like 2 weeks there filming. I went to this place, Aragon Bay. That's where most of the filming was done and where they do the collection of the fishing nets there. Yeah.
All right, so you can say it better than I am. What's the summary of this film? I love the idea. So just tell us what it's about.
Sure. Yeah, the summary of this film is basically it's just a piece to kind of showcase how you can motivate people to be sustainable in third world countries. I really liked how this organization was doing it. It's collecting trash and, giving value to trash there can motivate people in third world countries to, want to be sustainable. So they were using these fishing nets, they were collecting them and turning them into surfboard fins, and then just capturing that whole process and the motivation behind it, doing something like that sparks, more education around sustainability there. And when you basically just provide value for this thing that people would typically discard, like the fishermen would sometimes just throw it in the ocean if they were done with it, or, leave it on the beach, and that causes all these various environmental issues. And if they're if someone will buy them, they're obviously not going to do that. And so, in a way, it does can start motivating people there to be sustainable, and then hopefully educate the next generation, and then start positive change throughout the region. You know?
I like how you said positive because I've watched where I sit. I watch a lot of environmental films, and
Yeah,
most of them are not positive. Most of them
yeah,
want you
for
to put your
sure.
head into the ice bucket and just like stay there. but
Yeah, I mean a lot of it is can be bleak about the environment because there is so much, negative things going on. But I think there are a lot of people and organizations out there trying to do a lot of good, you know.
especially this. So when did you first meet this organization?
So I met this organization like 4 years ago, I want to say, and I was in Sri Lanka for like 2 or 3 months just traveling when I was younger. Um, my friend had was doing some work with them. They had gotten a grant, I think, through US Aid, and they have another business. They're taking rice bags and they're turning them into various different types of bags. I was trying to help them, bring some of their products to the US. That didn't really work out so much, but then they were starting this new project. It's called the company's called Good Catch, and yeah, I've always wanted to just, make a film like that that has to do with environmental conservation and protection. And yeah, I truly think it is just one of the best ways to motivate people to be sustainable in a country like that. When people are just surviving day to day, caring about sustainability is more or less a luxury, because if you're just worried about, putting food on the table, then you're not thinking about much else, or,
Did you like email them or call them to like pitch the this documentary idea? Or like, well, how'd the process work?
yeah, I had met with them and told them I loved what they were doing and I'd love to do a film on it. And they were obviously, yeah, super, super interested in that. It helps them for their own promotion and to get various grants and things if they need. So I hope it does that for them. Yeah.
Well, I loved how this film was shot. I think it's just a really well put together 8 minute film. It has its own narrative.
Thanks. Yeah.
I don't like even saying this. It's like for a documentary, it's a very arty film.
Okay.
Hopefully, you know what I
Thank
mean
you.
by that. It's
Yeah. I
there's really
appreciate
like
that.
you let the visuals tell the story. You do have the one interview or the interview, and basically, but really the first 3 minutes is just like visuals and some voiceover, kind of telling the story, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Was that always
Thanks.
your
I appreciate
intention when
that.
you were making it?
Yeah, I think I'd like to really capture, the beauty of the world, and try to show things visually. And yeah, I really like diving and shooting underwater. And so that's really cool. The light always comes really nicely through the water, especially when you're filming those nets floating there. And then them on the boat, they're just like I went out with these fishermen and they had no idea why I wanted to film them really, but they were like, yeah, just like their arms and their hands are just like so
Yeah.
striking, you know. And it was just such a cool process to capture, you know. And
So
Sri
it
Lanka
was,
itself is such a beautiful country. It really is
I was gonna
incredible.
say so it was you that shot it? Like you there was nobody else except for you doing it?
Yeah, I did this all by myself, basically. Went alone, shot it, and edited it too.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. That's like in the like you must have like it's pretty you I know you had a story before that, right? You were gonna do some
Yeah.
interviews, but like you just got on the fishing boat and you're like started I guess you weren't really you're just like going on instinct, I guess, with your photography.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
I had a plan of the story I kind of wanted to tell and showcase. And some of that is seen through my own narrative that I put in through the voiceover. And just telling the story and the process of, you know, from gathering the fishing net to finished product, and then interviewing a lot of the people responsible. And then, but other than that, you know, I just set up different days to shoot with different people. And I just kind of go on instinct, yeah, kind of like you said, and I had things I wanted to capture, you know, the nets underwater and definitely like the fishermen and collecting the nets and just to visually show, you know, how these things are used in the natural world.
All right, so you're definitely in the water. Like there's even the shot near the end of the or like I guess 6, 7 minutes into the film, you got the shot of like you shooting the boats.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the ocean,
Yeah.
so you must be in the water doing that shot.
Yeah, I was in the
So,
water. Yeah.
so what's that process like? How do you shoot in the water? I'm giving you a vague question, but I'm curious.
Yeah, yeah, I love shooting in the water. I grew up by the beach, so came super naturally. It is kind of a pain to shoot in the water because you got this big like casing, you got to put your camera in it, and you got to make sure it's sealed. Like I've had a casing leak before and
Everything
ruined my
gets ruined,
camera.
right?
Yeah, so you got to be like really meticulous when you're
Yeah.
setting it up, which is really frustrating sometimes. And then I was trying to pack light for this trip. And so I didn't bring like fins or goggles. And then I was just after traveling for like 40 hours, I forgot to organize them when I was going on the boat. And then it was like I was there, I was like, shit, I don't have fins or goggles. Like I'm a little screwed,
That's why
but
you needed assistance.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe hopefully on the next one, you know.
That's too
And
much
then
logical stuff in your brain. You're a creative guy. You need that assistant to help you out, right?
I know you're absolutely right because I totally forgot.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a challenge. Because normally I have, you know, I couldn't see underwater, so I was kind of blind shooting. I know ish what I was shooting, and I've shot without goggles a decent amount of times, and I know kind of what the frame's gonna look like outside the camera, so I could kind of do it. But the fins was tough because it's hard to get deep. It's hard to stay deep without the fins and film what you want. But yeah, it made it work. You know, you kind of
That's
that's
even more
production.
incredible.
Like,
That yeah,
yeah,
you should
thanks.
have a documentary about that, shooting in underwater without goggles or fins.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah, I think it was like, yeah. But luckily it turned out really good. And you know, it's just production, you know, something is bound to go wrong and you kind of have to figure it out along the way and just use what you have and do your best with it, you know.
So you always wanted it to be under 8, 10 minutes. This film.
Yeah, I think I always when I am editing something, I always actually try to make it you know, as short as possible without, because I think I don't want to put anything in there that's any sort of fluff. So
Yeah.
as short as I can make something to tell a story, I think is the best way. You know, if that ends up as 1 minute or that ends up as, you know, 30, that's that's fine with me.
So I was on your website. So you do kind of brain stories, creative advertising, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is not. This is your project. This is not like part of the brand advertising thing work that you do.
Right. Yeah. This is just my project. This
Yeah.
is a total passion project. And yeah, I try to do a good amount of passion projects. You know, I split my time between like advertising, which kind of helps pay my bills, and
Sure.
then I and then I do do documentaries, which is more for fun. You know, there's not too much money in docs these days, depends on what you're doing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think documentaries are more popular than ever on that note. So with the
Yeah.
streaming services and stuff, people are always, into documentaries. Like you said, depending on what the documentary is, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, depends what it is, but like a small environmental piece
yeah,
doesn't have too much value, but besides like obviously being inspiring for people. And I do think stuff like this should be made. So, you know, I'll keep making it and just keep going, you know,
but that said, like you're creating a body of work, right?
for
You're
sure.
creating like a large body of work. I'm assuming you're going to make a feature documentary sometime soon.
Yeah, I actually just finished shooting a feature.
Here we go.
Took me 4 years. So
Yeah,
now I've got to figure out we got to figure out editing it. And so that's obviously like the biggest portion of it and what's going to take the longest. So yeah, we need to kind of get our ducks in a row there. I need to edit maybe a nicer trailer than the one we have and prepare like a better pitch deck and try to get some sponsors or some grant funding or you know,
to
we
finish
got
it
to
off, to finish it because you finished shooting it.
yeah, so it's the shooting
Uh,
is done
yeah,
and yeah, it was a project over 4 years, so the edit feels daunting, for sure from
yeah.
like my perspective. But you know, we got something in there, so we
Yeah.
gotta do it. We gotta tell it.
I could be projecting, but it seems like when you got the best headspace, you'll get on it. Like you don't seem a guy who sits on his hands and does nothing, right? So
No, no, I'm a big person of action. I
yeah,
like to, you know, do something and do it.
yeah.
You know.
But you understand as soon as you start, it's like it's a big project, right? Maybe perhaps the biggest one you've ever had, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was so this 4 year documentary project that I've done. It was actually about my brother. I started it a long time ago.
Oh, so it's
He
personal, very personal then too.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
super personal. He used to work in New York on Wall Street for 5, 6 years, and then he like quit his whole job and bought an old 4Runner and then drove the Pan American Highway. And so it's kind of his journey from, you know, LA to the 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 farthest point in South America that you can go. It's called Ushuaia. And then he also like went up to Alaska too. And so it's his personal journey changing from this, you know, I guess what people the being like society's best version of success or what they teach you success
yeah,
should look like
sure.
and reaching that and seeing
Yeah,
it's not what it's made out to be and then giving it all up to just yeah, follow what you want.
yeah.
So I
It's
think
the
it's
Western kind of brainwash that we are taught as youths, right? Like the more money you have, the more successful you are,
Mhm.
and happier you become, I guess, right? But
Absolutely, yeah. So it's covering that and I think it'll be super inspiring for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people who are currently in their life maybe not exactly happy with where they
sure,
are, maybe what they're doing and you know whatever's stopping them from achieving what they want or going after what they want, maybe it'll
usually it's
help them.
logic, right? Because you're stuck with a mortgage and you're stuck with like
Yeah,
a marriage, whatever it is, right? And you're trapped. Not to be like overly dramatic about it, because they're still living in a happy, like in a good world compared to a lot of people, right? But yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's why it is important to kind of make those decisions young. Because it's hard to say, you know, I'm 30 now and would I start over and like pursue the career I've pursued now that I started pursuing at 22? I don't know. It'd be harder, you know, because
yeah,
it's like you have years of time where you're not making much, if any money.
yeah.
So, yeah,
It sounds like a good, but then sometimes when you're young, your idealism and kind of ignorance is good because you're like you go through a lot of crap. You're 30 now. I'm sure you've been through a lot,
for sure. Yeah,
and you're like, oh, would I do that over again? No, of course not, because that was a lot of pain. But then when you're
yeah,
22, you decided because it's good, right? Because you can't see that the pain that's ahead, right?
Yeah, you don't know. And I
Yeah,
think it's just, I think it's really good for people to have a healthy sense of delusion when you're
yeah,
starting out.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%. And like
Yeah.
you said, if you're gonna do it, do it in your 20s, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so it
I
sounds like a
agree.
good story. Like it said, like almost like a metaphor that he like is he removed like he said you said that he's far away from the capitalistic kind of rut that he was in, but then he just kind of traveled far away spiritually and metaphorically, I guess, from where he started. I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And now he started taking photos, making films himself, and then now he does commercial fishing in Alaska.
Oh wow,
And he does that for like 3 months out of the year, and then kind of just lives in Mexico the rest of the year. And so he's kind of figuring out his next moves. Now he's done with the grand adventure. So now he's gonna figure out, how he's gonna earn money, or what he wants to
I
do
want to
next,
see the
which
movie.
is
Let me know when it's done.
yeah, I'll let you know for sure.
So,
Yeah.
what do the people think about these guys from Caught from your movie? What did they when you showed them the film? What did they think of it?
I think they really liked it. I sent it to them a while ago. I haven't heard much from them since. But yeah, I think they really liked it, and they didn't they didn't communicate too much with me. Let me see if I can find their email.
No, I'm
But
just curious because it's a really like nicely photographed film. I hope they saw like there's certain kind of art, like you said, you focused on not the person per se, but you focused on the kind of like
yeah.
the mechanical, like the basically the artistry of what they're doing, right? Like with their hands and like yeah, I thought it was really cool the way you kind of shot it, right? So
Yeah, I think they were happy. They seemed happy. They didn't
yeah,
communicate too much with me
okay,
about it, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I hope they liked it. I think they had some like minor like things they wanted me to change, and I was like, oh, I'm happy with it as is. But like, I hope you guys love this. Yeah.
okay. Cool. So your work. So the next project for you, besides your commercial aspects, is the editing the film, or you shooting anything
Yeah,
else?
so there's editing that film. That film is called Wasted Youth. And hopefully 2027 that'll be
Hmm.
somewhere out for people. And then actually next week I'm going to Norway. I'm shooting a pilot for a docu-series.
Oh wow,
And yeah, so that's exciting.
in
Yeah.
Norway. Okay.
In Norway. Yeah, yeah.
You
It'll be
speak the
fun. So
language.
I do not know.
Most people speak English there anyway. So
They speak English. We have
yeah,
a small team. One of the guys is Norwegian. So yeah, it'll be fun. Well,
yeah,
I'm excited. It's kind of a music documentary. It's a take on like Chef's Table and Parts Unknown, but for music. And basically discovering like the origin of music in all these places. So we're gonna be covering Norwegian folk music,
okay.
covering
So
this
you're going to
band.
different countries, I guess, and
No, yeah, this each
it's the
episode will
pilot.
focus on a different
Yeah,
country, right?
yeah,
This one will be Norway, and
yeah.
we're focusing on this band that's blending like Norwegian folk music with like modern rock and roll. And so we're starting off with this guy. He's like making these instruments out of like animal horns and things, and then we're going into this band and various other artists that we're gonna highlight and show how music develops, how like folk music has developed in Norway, and then what it's kind of morphed into in the modern era.
That's cool. So you start into the Scandinavian countries, and then kind of going after if the pilot works, then you can get go to different countries, and that's pretty cool. It's a pretty good. It's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. We're just trying to do this pilot. We were actually supposed to go to Ghana, but then it ended up being too expensive, and most of my team is in Europe actually. So it's easier for us to
Yeah,
shoot
totally.
there.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Cool. Well,
for
what's
sure.
your so do you like the editing because you edited this film? It's a really nicely edited film. Do you
Yeah,
like
thank you.
what's your favorite process? I have a feeling you're a production guy. You like being shooting and is that
Yeah,
true? Or, yeah, yeah,
yeah, for sure. I really like being in it,
yeah,
like I feel like I shoot things fairly a little bit wider because I like to
yeah.
be like close to the action. So yeah, exactly like you said, I love being, you know, on set in production, shooting, either shooting or in a director's role. I've become a capable editor out of need rather than, want. But you gotta do everything sometimes until you have the budget to do one thing.
So but you're going to edit the feature yourself, or are you going to bring somebody on to help you?
For the feature, I'm gonna bring someone on. For
Yeah,
the
it's a good idea.
docu-series,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be editing it.
Okay.
That's a bit more manageable. We have a clear outlined story. And so I have the bandwidth to handle that. The feature, I just truly don't have the bandwidth to be able to handle that whole edit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, man, I like this film a lot. Perfectly timed, like nice story. You got in, you got out, and you like it. Just really shows your body of work too. Like I thought, when I watched this film, like, oh, I want to see what this guy does. Like I went to your
Yeah.
website right away, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I was into like that. It just showed like I like the like I see a lot of documentary
Hmm.
films, of course, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is I like this. It's not
Yeah.
just like telling the story and having interviews and whatever. It's like, oh, there's a unique point of view. So
I really appreciate that, man.
yeah,
Truly. It means a lot because sometimes you're making stuff and you don't know where it's going.
yeah. Well, best of luck with this film, the festival circuit. Best of luck with the feature. Best of luck with the pilot and everything else. Let's talk again when we showcase another film of yours. I hope we do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate your time and I really just appreciate you even taking the time to watch my film. It means a lot.